I'm not coming down. I never left it on the ground. I'm not coming down. I want to go higher, higher, higher than that.
Welcome back to the Business is Human podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Fleetwood Hession, and we're here to bring you episodes that blend meaningful work with profitable success. Here to steward what I call the age of humanity. I believe if we transform the way we work, we can transform the way that we live. As always, my friendly request, if you like what you hear, hit subscribe so you don't miss any episode, and leave a review to tell the other humans that they might like it too. Always looking to help you and connect with others. All right, let's get into it, shall we?
Okay, it's time for some true confessions. I'll start. When my kids were little, every once in a while I'd have this thought, well, if I had another baby, I could get 6 weeks off. That's crazy. And then I realized, as I became a coach and started having these conversations with people, that so many top performers have had a similar thought. The guys will say, well, maybe if I just tear an Achilles and go play basketball, I'll get some time off. Women have said, maybe if I could just get the flu or break an arm. Like, I found out that I'm not the only one with these crazy thoughts. So I'm wondering if you have one too. Our next speaker, Angie Woods, is going to share with us her similar vibe and challenge us about why top performers don't feel like they can rest until something breaks. All right, here we go.
Grateful for cancer. Have you ever heard anyone say those words? It sounds like such an odd thing to say. The big C word usually brings about feelings of fear, sadness, grief, anger, or a combination of all of those. And to be clear, I would never call cancer a gift. But for me, it was exactly the wake-up call I needed to stop hitting the snooze button on my life. But just for a moment, let's travel back in time and meet 15-year-old Angie. That was when I had my first job in high school, taking on every hour I could possibly get. The sweet freedom of money as a teenager. And then my senior year, 2 part-time jobs. In college, a full-time job, a part-time job, and a full load of classes. And I wore that crazy pace like a cape and a badge of honor. I would say things like, who needs sleep? No rest for the weary. I'll sleep when I'm dead. I remember one final exams week in college, I came down with the worst kidney infection of my life. I can still picture myself sitting in that urgent care room with the doctor trying to convince me to be admitted to the hospital for IV antibiotics. I looked at him dead serious and said, no way, I don't have time for this. You don't understand, I have final exams. Just call me in some antibiotics and I'll be just fine. Spoiler alert, I was not just fine. I kept going and going, hitting the snooze button over and over and over, thinking that my unhealthy habits couldn't catch up with me if I just ran fast enough. And boy, did I try to run fast. Fast forward to 2023, a routine mammogram. And something deep inside told me, Ange, we're not going to be getting that postcard in the mail that says, all clear, see you next year. And I was right. One abnormal result turned into biopsies, follow-ups, decisions to make, and ultimately 5 surgeries. The bright spot that year, I way more than met my deductible. So much so that I threw in a free colonoscopy just for fun. But the truth is, I was already on the Indy 500 fast track to burnout and self-destruction. My family and closest friends, some in the audience this evening, still today have no idea just how dark that season was for me. I was in a fog, so lost, working nonstop, barely sleeping. I had tied my worth completely to my productivity and people-pleasing, trying to prove my value, prove my worth, prove that I was enough at work, enough at home, and not even coming close to measuring up at either. A boatload of caffeine to get me through the day, too much alcohol at night to numb out from the day, avoiding anything that required true emotional energy, and avoiding time to pause and reflect on how I was contributing to the life I was experiencing. It was a vicious cycle, and I could not see my way out. And as I reflect now, there were plenty of wake-up calls along the way. God was calling me. He was trying to get my attention, and I was not picking up. Sorry, God, can't talk now. Got a lot going on. I've got to get those TPS reports out. And then my doctor's office called. And it was time. That was a call I could not ignore. It was time to sit up, splash some water on my face, and take a hard look at the reality I had created and make some decisions about the future that I wanted. And I realize now, looking back, cancer wasn't the fire, it was the alarm. And it got really loud because I had not listened when it was quiet. The body really does keep the score. I remember laying in bed after my first surgery feeling such relief, thinking, I finally have a real excuse to rest because someone in a white lab coat told me I had to. It sounds just as crazy now, saying those words as what it did thinking it back then. And as I reflect, my unhealthy habits, that pattern ran deep. And I'm talking generations deep. Somewhere along the way, I picked up a belief that my worth was tied to my productivity. That if I wasn't filling every minute being busy, I was being lazy. And asking for help, receiving help, nope. Those that know me best, and I won't look at them because I will cry, they know I do not do this well. Around this same time, a member of my HR team faced her own terrifying health journey. A freak accident and emergency brain surgery. Very scary. But our team turned this into our team mantra. When we'd face something stressful at work, we would say, well, if it's not cancer or brain surgery, I think we've got this. Perspective is a powerful thing. God blessed me with exactly the right team I needed at that time, and I am forever grateful for them. When I met with Rebecca to talk about Rise and Thrive this year, I was so excited. And I said, Rebecca, I'm going to be the first to sign up for season 8 next year. Next year will finally be my year. And she calmly said, Angie, what if there was an 8th spot this season? Instant panic. This season? No, I'm not ready this season. I just started a new job. I've got a lot going on. I'm not ready. I need more time. But somewhere deep inside, I found the courage to answer the call, to stop hitting the snooze button on my growth. And I said yes to this amazing experience, and it has forever changed me. Right place, right time, and most definitely the right people. I wrestled with whether or not my cancer story was worthy of being told on this stage tonight. And as I reflected, and with some help from my friends and family, I decided, yes, it absolutely is worthy of being told, because that was the moment, one of the moments, when I stopped hitting the snooze button on my life. And I'm still a work in progress. Those that know me best can absolutely validate that. I am continuing to level up, make healthier decisions so that I can be fully present today and still be here tomorrow. And my 3 amazing kids, they deserve a mom who knows she's enough. enough to rest when she needs to, enough to make her health a priority, enough to say yes to her growth and say no to things that don't matter. And I want them, and I want all of you to know and to answer my call to action. Let's rest when we need to, not because we've earned it, not because someone in a white lab coat told us we had to, but because we're humans, and humans are worthy of rest. Let's normalize asking for and receiving help. Vulnerability is a gift. It's a gift to ourselves, and it's a gift to those who love us. And I would be remiss if I did not say, please prioritize your health, your self-care, your annual wellness visits for early detection. Please. And let's say yes, hell yes, to something this year that scares us a little bit, pushes us outside of our comfort zone, and fuels our growth, even before we're ready. Ready is a decision, it's not a feeling. And let's tell our stories. Every story matters, and every story is worthy of being told. I would not have chosen cancer as my wake-up call, but I can tell you as I stand here tonight, I am grateful, thankful for the lessons, the blessings, and the people it has brought into my life. No more running, no more snooze button. When God calls me today, I do my best to answer that call on the first ring. Thank you.
I'm guessing that the majority of you resonated with Angie's talk in the not feeling like you can rest. And burnout costs U.S. employers estimated $125 billion with a B dollars a year. But burnout isn't a productivity problem. It's a productivity problem because what it costs the organizations. It's the root of it is not in work less, because so many of us, when we're told, hey, take some time off, rest, we don't, because our worth is so tied to our work. The root cause of burnout is to always believe that you need to prove yourself, work harder, and that if you take care of the business, it will take care of you. And that comes from Herbert Friedenberger's research back in the 70s. And we've just perpetuated that as a belief system, because when I heard those three things, I said, that's what I was told success is. So we have this paradox that what we were led to believe were the keys to success are actually the root cause of burnout. And so that is the root of my work, is to bring that to light, because burnout is a belief and an identity issue. And until we can individually surface that and then choose to change our beliefs and therefore our patterns, won't matter what the organization does or doesn't do. But we don't have time to cover all that today. Luckily for you and me and anybody who reads it, I just finished writing a book called The Counterfeit Life, because that's what happens is we get into this counterfeit life because the keys to success and the root cause of burnout are the same. And I unpack a lot of that from neuroscience and scripture. So back to Angie. I also want to bring up the point that Angie is a senior vice president of HR. She has worked in HR her entire career. And so if your HR folks are in this state, what's that say? It's not about the business or the structure as much as is the belief system. Do those things contribute? Sure. Angie realizes now and understands is that the nervous system can't run on chronic activation. It has to have shutdown or it will shut you down. which is why she ended up in a state of illness. And that's real. It's very real. In fact, I was on LinkedIn earlier today posting one of our clips from one of the talks. If we're not following each other on LinkedIn, we could do that too. But I was posting it. And so after I posted it, I saw a story that ran after that, which was a picture of a gentleman in the hospital hooked up with tubes on LinkedIn. And I have been seeing more and more of this kind of content. And it's troubling that it's so prevalent that so many people are experiencing cancer and sickness and illness, that it's become a normal part of the business conversation in some way. That literally makes me want to cry, because it is so not the way that God intended this to go. So what Angie experienced was the chronic activation and the sustained levels of cortisol then suppressed her immune system, and her body was forced to shut down to recover. And this can happen on small scale, large scale. And so once your immune system is suppressed, then not only like I did, you pick up the flu, but you don't have enough immune system to fight it. So then it turned into pneumonia. So what should have been a couple of days recovery turned into 2 months. Angie's turned into cancer. There is a physical ramification to this sustained cortisol levels. And, she said it in her talk that during, her post-surgery, oh, good, I finally have time, or I finally have an excuse to rest. Also just makes me so, so sad. And it's happening more and more and more. She can now name the pattern that runs far before her. It's a generational pattern that we're passing down, that has been passed down to us, and now we're passing down, and it's compounding. I see it in kids stressed out about sports and grades, the anxiety that teenagers experience today around those things. We've passed down some of that, and also makes me terribly sad. If we understood our nervous system more, we wouldn't have chose it. We didn't do it maliciously. We love our kids. We didn't mean to, but we have to now be aware so that we can shift these things. We can teach these things, because once our body learns that stillness isn't safe, we're not going to rest. And so we have to change the belief structure to get to where we can rest in a sense of this is strategy, this is proactive, this is good for me, this is what my body was designed to do. We're going to continue to pass those things down, because she says it in her story that she picked up the belief that her worth was tied to her productivity. And she can trace it all the way back to being a teenager. And that's just the nervous system doing its job. Once we tell it something with our beliefs, then it's going to run the pattern that it thinks is going to keep us safe. It's just running the wrong one. So we have to tell it the truth. We have to believe the truth. If we understand that our nervous system state, which Angie's was being chronically activated even from a teenager, then our beliefs tied to worth equals productivity. So that means by nature, rest equals laziness, and asking for help equals weakness. And we don't know those are beliefs. It just is. And what I'm helping to do is make what was previously subconscious, below the level of awareness, making you aware so that you can make different choices. Because the pattern that flows, if that's your belief system, is you're going to override every single signal from your body, because your belief is so powerful that you're not supposed to rest. So when she was getting sick, when she was even in the hospital, she was still overriding all of the alarm bells that were going off physically. She'd already overridden exhaustion. And then she was in the hospital still overriding the alarm bells that were going off, saying, you don't understand. I got to get back to work. And that's how powerful our beliefs are. But also, it's your nervous system doing exactly what it's designed to do, is build a pattern to keep you safe. And when your belief is that I'm only safe when I'm busy, it'll run that play until it runs you into the ground, literally. And it's happening to too many people. And so I want to bring you these tools and these frameworks so you can learn how your nervous system really works and use the practices to get your nervous system regulated enough that you can start to look at the underlying beliefs that are running your life, running the patterns of your life. Now, let's look at it from a business perspective, because this costs our business too. It's not just a cost to us. When leaders, you or whoever you report to, operate from chronic activation, and in most organizations, chronic activation is the culture. I know that from doing coaching and consulting work, but that sets the pace for everyone around them. So our nervous systems are designed to wire together, read each other's energy. And when the team reads the leader's nervous system, listen, they're reading your nervous system. They're not even reading your emails. Nervous systems just automatically read one another. Okay. That's the most powerful communication tool that you have is your nervous system regulation. But when your teams read your regulation, they're seeing the timestamp that you're responding to emails at 2 a.m. or even 10 p.m. Then that says to them, this is what's required for us to be successful here. And then they will feel like they're not safe to rest. So even if you say, no, you need to respond to tomorrow. But if you're responding late night, they think that's the way that this thing works. The other problem that we have in organizations about HR is leaders that make decisions that cause problems in the organization and then bat it over to HR to fix it, or to believe that HR is in charge of culture. Everybody is in charge of culture. It is the collective nervous systems that are trying to work together every day. That's not an HR issue. That's individuals showing up with chronically dysregulated nervous systems that are causing the issue. But we basically taught an entire generation that exhaustion is a badge of honor. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Yep, you will. But then business leaders signal to the team, and I believe unintentionally, there's some really wonderful leaders that would never in a million years do anything to purposefully hurt the people that report to them. And so I don't want to make it sound like everybody's some malicious, mean leader that's showing up dysregulated because they're wanting to control the world. But it is happening below the level of consciousness. I'm just trying to bring what used to be subconscious into consciousness so we can do things differently. So there's a phrase in the Bible, scripture in the Bible says, be still and know that I am God, which means we're not really in control of everything that's going on in this world anyway. We just think we are. And the more that we can release the belief that we're in charge of controlling everything and truly rest, that's the way our nervous system is designed. God designed us to work, then rest, work, then rest. Work is a good thing. We're designed to work, but we also have to rest or we break it. We break this beautiful design that God gave us because we believe that we're in control of everything instead of Him. I hope you'll read this book when it comes out. Still in the editing phase, but I'm already seeing it make a positive difference in my clients that have been using these frameworks that I write about. So I'm really hopeful that it's going to make a major difference in the business community because we're a tough crowd for faith because we're paid really well to solve problems and to fix stuff. And so we then start to believe that we're in charge of controlling everything and fixing everything, which doesn't leave a lot of room for the creator of the universe to do his work because we're so busy jumping in and fixing it all, controlling it all. And he says, I got this. Why don't you just connect with me and let me run the show? But it's hard for us to do that because our belief system says that we're supposed to control everything. And it's very clear in scripture that we don't earn our rest. It's a part of the design. It's a part of the requirement. And it's a part of believing that things aren't going to fall apart because we're taking the time that we need. So let that be your call to action for this episode. You don't earn rest. Let me say it again. You don't earn rest. And your work is not tied to your worth. Please own that with everything that you have. Pay attention to the state of your nervous system. Are you in chronic activation? Do you need to build in daily stillness practices, breaks in between meetings, some breath work, some go stand in the grass? I'll give you some practical ways to regulate your nervous system. So go back if you're new here and grab some additional episodes that have already been published of the podcast. It is rich with nervous system regulation tips. And then if you are in a state of activation, chronically activated, look at the belief underneath. Whose voice do you hear? Was there a well-meaning parent or coach or someone that led you to believe that rest was not a part of the strategy? Where did that voice and belief come from in your life? And then ask yourself, is this what you want for yourself moving forward? If you're a parent, is this what you want to pass on to your children and grandchildren? Where's the motivation for you to want to do things differently? And if you need permission, I'm here to give it to you. Consider this your official permission slip that you need to take the breaks and the rest required so that you can have access to the greater decision-making, the greater capacity to do the great work that you were brought into this world to do. And again, everything about Angie's talk I address in this book. And so I'm excited for you to get to read it someday in the future. All right, y'all. Until next time, we've got 3 more stories to bring to you. Love you, mean it.
I'm not coming down. I never left it on the ground. I'm not coming down.
Thanks for being here. You can follow us on Instagram, Business is Human, or TikTok, Rebecca Fleetwood Hession. It's a great way to share some of the clips with your colleagues and friends. All right. Make it a great day. Love you, mean it.